Today we are going to learn how to paint non-metallic metal brass on the Necron Overlord.
That the entirety of the cosmos is accessible through each and every individual's mind, connecting to the great mind, the great spirit.
Welcome back to the channel, collectors. So today we have the Necron Overlord from the Indomitus set, which was just released over the weekend. So have you guys had your Indomitus yet? Let me know in the comments what you think. I personally think that the models are crazily detailed and awesome, and I'm making a little diorama to commemorate the launch of the 9th edition. Alright, so I'll be creating a little diorama with the Necron Overlord with the Reanimator as the background, with a couple of crypto trolls crawling in the front, with maybe some scarabs. Alright, so if you're ready to learn how to paint non-metallic metal brass, let us begin. Alright, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be mixing a series of different tones using red ochre. Okay, the colors that I'm using are black, violet, orange, red oxide, German camo beige, red from Chimera, and ivory from Vallejo model. The green that I'm using would be scale 75 fluorescent FX. Okay, so in my mind, the brass color of the Necrons, what's happening is that they are currently standing in a very green environment where probably their only light source would be fluorescent green. Okay, and then the base colors will be really warm. So right now we are going to start with a base coat. So this base coat, the idea of it is to have it red and warm, at least relative to the rest. Why I'm choosing these colors is that I want the base coat to be of a complementary color to the light source. This will make the light source even more outstanding and contrasty towards the rest. Okay, so I'm darkening the base coat now with orange, red oxide, and Chimera black. Alright, so at this stage what we want to achieve is a smooth and even coat throughout the entire model. One tip when we are base coating would be that we shouldn't touch the model when it's drying. This will allow the paints to dry smoothly and allow subsequent layers to be even smoother. Okay, so this is the result, and we're going to go to the next color. Creating a warm base layer by adding orange and more red oxide, we are going to start painting. At this stage, you want to take notice of where the light is coming from, and I'm placing the light placement very roughly. The light that I envision from this diorama comes from the top left corner. Okay, so in this red, I'm doing this very roughly so that the entire miniature experiences a focused light source. Right, here is the results. You don't need to be very smooth and neat with this. Okay, so now moving to the midtones. The midtones, I'm creating a more warm midtone by adding in more colors such as red oxide. However, the values are increased using German camo beige. At this stage, you want to be a bit more selective where you place the midtones. However, you don't need to be super neat yet. At this stage, do take note of how you're placing the midtones and make sure that they are according to the shape of the miniature. This will accentuate the form of the miniature to allow the miniature to be a lot more readable. Adding a little bit of red and a little bit of ivory, we're going to be creating our first highlight. This highlight, I want it to be pretty neutral at this time. And at this stage right now, I'm still currently sketching the miniature. There's no need to be too neat too early, because you want to make sure that when you paint the entire miniature, the light source is correct and everything is coherent. Right now what I'm doing is I'm creating larger highlights closer to the chest. What this does is it creates an area of interest so that the viewer is able to focus on the central body mass of the miniature. This allows the miniature to be a lot more interesting and will draw the attention of the viewer towards the main areas, which is the chest and the face. At the very same time, I'm also placing relevant highlights on the thighs and on the shoulders. Alright, so this is the result. So now moving on, I'll be adding a little bit more green and a little bit more fluorescent into subsequent highlights. What this does is this creates the effect that the miniature is currently standing in fluorescent light, and it's a lot more obvious. Because fluorescent paints tend to be a little bit less opaque, so what we do is that we have added a previous layer so that this green is able to stand out. As you guys can see, the green stands out very starkly against the red base. This is because they are complementary colors on the color wheel, and red is on the opposite side of the color wheel compared to green. So this makes the highlight stand out even further. As you guys can see right now, I'm going to be creating the next highlight, adding a bit more green and yellows, or adding a bit more fluorescent in to create a paler green highlight. You don't want this highlight to be too yellow because you still want it to look fluorescent. So you're going to add a bit more ivory, add a bit more of the chimera green to cool the highlight down. Yes, this is the color that we should be working with. Sort of like a minty green color. Alright. So with this highlight, we can start educating the viewer about the form of the miniature. As you guys can see, what I'm doing is I'm selectively placing this highlight and in a subsequent video I'll be showing you guys what I've done to the Necron Overlord to achieve the results. Alright, so we are finishing this part 1 of this video, and in part 2 we'll be finishing the Necron Overlord, which looks like this. I hope you like the Necron Overlord, and show me how you painted yours. So there we have it, the first part of the Necron Overlord non-metallic metal. We have the base colors done, but we need to do some tweaking, and that will be covered in a subsequent video in the future. Alright, stay tuned to see more of my diorama building, and for patrons, I'm going to be launching an exclusive video on how I plan and create my Necron diorama. So if you are excited, head on to the Patreon and become a patron today. I really appreciate all your support, and I really like to thank all my patrons for supporting me throughout this time. Alright, I hope to see you in the next video, and keep on painting.